He is starting Geno Smith over Jordan Love, and I hate this on so many levels.
Then Joe Flacco comes in like he does, with his cape on.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here at JD Fantasy Football. I am Jordan. This is Dave. We are going through on your fantasy football needs. Dave, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a big week in fantasy. I'm broadcasting from Alabama today, and you are broadcasting from the great state, the Beehive State of Utah.
Of Utah, yes. As you can see, I have a different background. There's actually stuff behind me compared to when I have absolutely nothing behind me. So fantastic. It's good to be back home in Utah. So yeah, I'm excited that I was able to still get our podcast rolling today. So awesome. Well, we have an exciting episode for everyone today. We will be going over injuries. We'll be going over our boom and bust. We'll be going over all of our matchups and who we're taking with that as well. So it should be fun. We'll be answering any questions that people have throughout the episode. So I think we should just get right into it. Let's go ahead and get into injuries here. So in the past, I've gone through pretty much every injury update. But this week, I'm going to go a little bit different. Just kind of go through some of the key injuries that we had from last week. Number one, and this is only number one for me because Chris Godwin was my guy that was really keeping me at 140 to 145. He has dislocated his ankle, so no chance of him coming back this year. At least if he does, it will be in the playoffs, not in the fantasy playoffs, but in the actual playoffs. So really unfortunate to see it. They wouldn't even show the replay on ESPN because of how brutal this was. From what I hear, his ankle was facing another direction, or his foot was facing a whole completely different direction than what it should be. I think it was a drop hit tackle, which is what they're trying to take away. So I did hear that they might end up finding Raekwon Smith for that tackle at some point. So
Wow.
Legal tackle, breaking ankles. It's unfortunate, but moving on to the next is Brandon Aiyuk, torn ACL and MCL. Crazy. It was a play where one guy was going one direction low, the other guy went high, and not a fun experience. He is out for the season as well. We have some exciting news, though. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua both made it back. Both had pretty productive games, weirdly enough. That's your game. It's weird that both of you have been waiting for that, for both of those guys to come back, and they both come back when you guys play each other. Both had phenomenal weeks, so good to see that back. And I'll talk a little bit more about the effects that has on a different player as well. DK Metcalf is doubtful this week with an MCL sprain. It was an Armageddon for injuries for four wide receivers. Also, all 49ers receivers. Debo's questionable. Brandon Aiyuk, as we just talked about, out for the year. Juwan Jennings not playing this week. So pretty much everyone, if Debo doesn't play, you're pretty much playing with all the backup receivers there. Derek Carr threw a little this week, but he is not expected to play. It looks like he is getting close, so he should be back within the next week or two. And hopefully for all our Chris Olave owners, that is the best news to have Derek Carr back in here. So that's the big injuries. I'm not going to go through all of them, but those are the big injuries that I wanted to talk about this week.
Well, I think those injuries really make a lot of impact on people this week. And if you do have injuries, let's go into a couple sleepers that maybe you haven't been thinking about, or maybe someone who's going to be opportunistic. My sleeper for the week is comes from the Buccaneers. They've had a rough week on the injury front, losing key players, mostly receivers. But one player who will see an expanded role is their pass catching running back, Sean Tucker.
Ooh.
So with Tampa Bay's top target sideline, this guy could become a focal point in their offensive scheme, especially on checkdowns. His yards after catch are phenomenal. He's faster than linebackers, and I think that he will be a big part of Tampa's offense and Baker Mayfield. Yep, and he might keep Tampa Bay fans from reaching for the Tums too soon. They're going to be pretty sick this week, so hopefully he can But he is a big play guy. He doesn't need 10 targets to get his, and I think he could get 15 points this weekend against Atlanta.
Love that. Love that. Well, my sleeper for this week is actually the man, the myth, the legend coming off of a bullet straight through the chest, through and through. Ricky Pearsall is mine. And that is going to go back with us talking about Juwan Jennings being out, Brandon Ayuk being out, Debo Samuel's recovering from pneumonia and having stuff in his lungs, fluid in his lungs. So he's questionable. He could play. That could be a big week, but I think there's going to be plenty of targets here for Ricky this week as far as with it. He did end up having 5 targets last week, first week back from being shot. So good news there. There's going to be plenty of targets to go around, and I think he's going to be one of the beneficiaries of that. So Ricky Pearsall, I have him now on my bench because I have Debo Samuels. So if Debo goes out, I'm just slipping Ricky back in. The Niners aren't going to get me this week. They're a Sunday night game. So, they got my wife the first week with Christian McCaffrey, but you guys ain't going to get me. I've got the backup.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's not in, but that Mason, my goodness, they're going to run that ball through him this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's awesome, man.
Well, awesome. So Boom this week. Who you got for Boom this week, Dave?
Dude, I wrote a poem. Cade Otton, shining star, catching passes near and far, up above the defense so high. Catch me a touchdown. What a guy. Cade, so this last week I picked him up, kind of had a feeling, and well, it was just necessity. Ferguson was on bye week, so I picked up Otton, and it ended up being a really exciting week. He had 10 catches, 100 yards, but he didn't get into the end zone for me, but he did score a bunch of points. And Cade Otton's just gonna, with the receivers falling out, I'm doubling down on Tampa Bay receivers, and he's just a big guy that can make tough catches. The ball doesn't get jarred loose if he catches it contested. He's tough.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Dicker this week being pretty much the MVP of the Chargers offense, you'd probably be a winner You probably would have gotten that dub last week.
There were a couple ways I could have won. I could have played Aaron Rodgers. Like, there were a couple ways, but Dicker didn't do me any favors. Yeah. Who's your rising star? Who's your Boom?
My Boom is going to be Joe Mixon. This guy has only played 3 full games this year, and the only thing he's done with it is scored 28, 29, and 29 points per game on it. That average is crazy. His usage has been unreal. He is a lock it in running back one every week if he's not injured. The big key for Joe Mixon is if he can stay healthy, I think he's in for a huge year. And I think he could potentially be, they're using him really good. He's catching passes. He's getting touchdowns. He's getting 20 plus touches every game. Dude's could be potentially the number 1 running back of this season if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I didn't know how that was going to turn out for him, but it's turned out great.
I was really worried with all the weapons that are there, but I did not. They want to run the ball a lot too, so they have definitely hasn't had any lack of touches because of the receivers that are there.
Who's your bust, Jordan?
My bust, man. I really hate to be a dead horse here. I truly do not want to do this, but
the dead Colt.
Anthony Richardson is my buzz. I was totally correct last week with receivers for Indianapolis. He ends up throwing 129 yards total last week. It is really hard to watch. He's a runner. He's definitely he's a running back who potentially throws. Honestly, he is the Taysom Hill of that team. He's just now overhyped. So he's like, oh yeah, he could throw the ball 60 yards. It's so great if you could throw it accurately. Every week, Anthony Richardson is playing. By the end of the game, he could be 11 or 9 completions in. 10 completions is where he is really sitting every week. It is sickening to watch how dissolving those good receivers are with him out. He got 34 points the first week. Since then, in games that he's played, he has not hit over 10 fantasy points for the remainder of the year. My question, and I'm sure all Colts fans' questions are right now, where's Joe Flacco? Put him back in the game.
Can't do
Please
it.
put him
Can't do
back
it,
in the
man.
game. Just do it. It will benefit everyone. Just so frustrating. But that's my bust. Who's your bust, Dave?
Well, it's sad to say it because I drafted him, but it's Calvin Ridley. He's had one boom week, and outside of that one boom week, he's averaged 4.2 points per week in our league. And yeah, he had against Indianapolis, he had 8 targets and 0 catches. And the trouble he's having is that D Hop is leaving town.
Yeah.
So he's just going to get the number one every week now. And I don't care if it's Rudolph. I don't care if it's Levis. I mean, you got to get Ridley off your lineup. I'd rather have the squirrel who found the end zone at Old Miss today than have Calvin Ridley on my on my squad. So that's my
Yeah.
bust. He's just been sad.
Yeah, it's really sad that that's the case. He's got so much talent. They paid him a lot of money to come over there. D Hop going over to the Chiefs, which is for like a 5th-round pick, which is absolutely crazy to me. That's how the Chiefs can't keep. Somebody's got to stop them. They can't keep getting away with this. How do you get D Hop or the 5th-round pick? It's so sad. But yeah, Calvin Ridley. Last week we talked about Travis Etienne and there's
Yeah.
a lot of conflict about dropping him, not dropping him. I don't think he's a drop. I think you could keep him and you would be fine. This week, I will say with full confidence, you can drop Calvin Ridley off your team. I
Yeah.
don't think that it would be too far fetched. He's almost not even worth a bench spot right now.
No, yeah, I would go after sleepers before I'd keep. I mean, I got to get rid of him.
Yeah. Rough, 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 rough. Well, all right. Time to get into our next segment here.
Yeah, this is what we do every week. We have a fantasy league with our family and friends, and we just kind of go through the matchups, and it gives people advice about their teams, and also just it's really entertaining to just talk about the people that we know and their crappy teams. So, you want to start us off with the first matchup, me and Cam? You want to talk about me?
Yes, Cam versus Dave. This is going to be a good matchup here. So for your team, Dave, I think Kyron Williams, once again, what a stud! 22.6 points last week. RB3 on the year. It's still just a grounded pound. And you know, when you think that you have the number 3 running back and it couldn't get any better, well, then Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp show back up onto the field. You can no longer stack boxes and just hope that he's not throwing to Demarcus Robinson. He is going to have so much room to run with these two back in the lineups and just getting implemented more and more off of injury. Kyron Williams is a stud. He is one of those players like Joe Mixon, where it would not surprise me if he's the number 1 running back when the year is all said and done. And then this week, I think your make or break for the week is Aaron Rodgers. What can we see him finally go and just put out? Can he get the 15 to 20 points in the game that you need? I think if he gives you 15 to 20, probably closer to 20, you're going to win this week for sure. If he gets you a dud for some reason, and I'm not saying he's known for duds, but man, this year has been a hard one to watch. It's had some pretty good weeks, but even last week, I mean, even though it was a good Pittsburgh defense, you got Devontae Adams, you got Garrett Wilson, you got Brees Hall, you have Tyler Conklin, you have so many good. Alan Lazard's your best friend that you're throwing to. To get 12 points is just 12 points, fantasy points on 24 or on 39 attempts is just not great. So I think that's your make or break for the week. What's your opinion on Cam?
Cam's got some decisions this week. I think it's interesting what he faces just because of the matchups. So he's got Devontae Adams, which is he had 9 targets last week and only got 6 fantasy points. That's chemistry. That's reps with the offense. Probably doesn't have a ton of the offense mastered yet. This week, the Patriots D, that's a favorable matchup for Rodgers and the Jets. So I think that they will be able to have their way early and often with that. But hopefully he can get that going. I love Devontae Adams, obviously, with the Packers. Packers fan, long time. I like to see him do well, and I think this is a good week for him. Another decision that he's got is Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb this week is not a winning play, Cam. I know you've been waiting for Nick to come back all season, but this is not the week, man. The Ravens have been very stingy against the run, especially in the red zone. And you've got Rico Dowdle on the bench. I think this is the week to start Dowdle over Chubb just because of matchups. And yeah, it's a crazy thing to say, but I think that's going to be important. And then the other decision he's got is, who do you play, Russell Wilson or Pat Mahomes? And I think Pat Mahomes has got to be the start against the Raiders this week. It's almost a revenge game. I mean, they're like, the Raiders stink. They're going to run it up against them, and the Giants' pass rush could get to Russ. They got to Joe Burrow a couple weeks ago. They could get to Russ. So I think. I mean, that Giants Steelers game could be 16-17, like it's not,
true.
I don't know if that's going to be a points producer. So Pat Mahomes, man, start him.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that. I actually like the Russ Wilson start personally.
Okay.
I just don't like Pat Mahomes this year. I just don't. I think he is one of the GOATs and great football player, not a great fantasy football player right now.
Even on the week that he gets D-Hop?
Yeah, I still think it's going to be rough. Even when he had
Wow.
Rashee Rice, he was still a top 17 quarterback. So like he had his guy that he was throwing to so much. I don't trust Patrick Mahomes. I just
Okay.
don't right now in fantasy. And I never thought I would say that in my life. But
So I'm going to take Cam in this one. Who are you taking?
I am going to take you in this one, Dave. I'm riding you. I'm going to get you. You're going to get me a point. I know you are. This is the week that you do it.
We'll see. I'm 1-5. Cam is 0-6. Someone's got to win.
This is exciting. This is exciting.
All right, man. Well, I want to talk about your team. Your guy who you've been riding like a bell cow through week 7, Saquon Barkley, has an NFL high 5 runs of at least 35 yards. Only 5 other NFL backs have had more than one, and the last running back with at least 5 35-yard runs through 6 games was Chris Johnson in 2010 with the Titans. I mean, Barkley is in a rare air this year. This has been such a good fit. And he's only had one game where he's had less than 17 carries. They are really trusting in Saquon. Cincinnati is an average run defense. They give up 4.5 yards per carry. Poor pass defense. This can be a long week for Cincinnati. I think the Eagles will just run it down their throat. Saquon will probably have a touchdown on the ground, touchdown in the air. So we'll see. Who else you got? Well, this is you're a Broncos fan this weekend.
I guess.
You need Javonte Williams and Bo Nix to just show out against, let's face it, it's Carolina. And the only thing that Carolina has going for them is that they've got Steph Curry as a fan. That's the only thing that's going well. And the last thing I want to say is that Debo, he had pneumonia this week. Brock Purdy has been taking a beating in the press, and I think he'd take Debo with an oxygen tank dragging behind him. He wants him out there. Debo's averaging 16.8 yards per reception, and he puts enormous pressure on any defense. So he needs Debo out there this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as my opponent here, Daniel Finkel-Einhorn, he's 5-2 and I'm 5-2. So we have a battle right now for the 5-2s. I'm in the fire, he's in the ice. So we're trying to knock each other down a peg in the division. I quickly just go back through it. Joe Mixon, guys that were RB1. I was going to talk about him before we even had the booms, but the more and more I looked at it, the more and more he just made more sense to be, the person to talk to about his team. He's obviously the best player on this team. 30 carries in week 1, 25 carries in week 7. So he is just getting touches throughout the time. So it's pretty cool, to see his story come back. The other person I wanted to talk about, who I believe is his make or break this week, is Devontae Smith against this Carolina Panthers, or against the Cincinnati Bengals team. last week, 0.8 yards. It's just how much is AJ Brown going to affect his targets? He only had 2 targets last week. Dallas Goddard is out again, I believe, so he isn't going to have that target to throw to. But the real question is, how much do they just run it down the throats of them? And it really depends on how good Jalen Hurts. He has some throws. He's starting to get in the, he's almost getting in like the Anthony Richardson, not quite its extreme category, where it's like every week it's like, man, you do make like you make 1 or 2 good throws, but then man, I just look at it and you just haven't been a great consistent player this year. So, and I think that affects all of his outside of AJ Brown. I think everyone else is kind of affected by
That's a crazy thing to say.
that.
That Jalen Hurts is a rich man's
A rich man's Anthony
Anthony
Richardson.
Richardson.
Yeah, man. If it wasn't for the tush push, bro, like guy almost wouldn't be playable.
I guess there's a reason they're in 4th and 1 every 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, yeah. No, I'm not saying he's as bad as Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he has the tush push, so he's going to get 1, 2. Like last week, he got 18 points, but he got 12 points off of tush pushes. So like it's like without those tush pushes, what does it really look like for him realistically? If those are going to like Saquon Barkley or something like that, he's ending up with like 6, 7 points on the week. So tush pushes are what keeps him relevant to me. And we're not even talking about Jalen Hurts because it's not even that tight yet. But yeah.
That was a crazy thing. I couldn't believe that. I'm gonna look at the standings real quick. Yeah, look at that. Man, it's crazy. I was just we're moving on to talk about Ben and Mahomes' team. And I was just thinking about because I was going to talk about, uh, man, how is Ben 3-4, and he's got Derrick Henry on his team? Like, how on earth? Derrick Henry has been. Did you see him last week?
Oh yeah.
Did you see? I cannot like. I don't know why I'm still blown away. But like, he's as old as he is. He's been doing this as long as he has, and he is still. If you let him get past that linebacker, he might be gone. They barely caught him on that one he broke away with, and that's just because the guy had a good angle on him. He is so fast for as big as he is, and he has been such a good fit for the Ravens. Ben's 3-4 with Derrick Henry. What on earth is happening? Anyway, Henry has been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh,
George Pickens and Lad McConkey. That's the problem.
well, and Lad McConkey is the one I was going to talk about because he's getting a 23% target share.
Yeah.
He has a decent connection with Herbert. And the Saints, I think, are a good matchup for him. The bad is he's questionable, likely to play. Like he's not 100%. So that's not good. And the ugly is that Ben is having to decide between him and Keenan Allen. Uh, that's tough. But I do
Yeah.
think of those two, if you can get Ladd to play just because of that connection, Keenan Allen has not built great rapport with Caleb Williams yet. That's not happened. So I would stick with Lad McConkey. So yeah, that's Ben. He's got a tough week. I'm still picking Ben to beat Mahomes this week, though.
Yeah, so I am picking Ben to beat Mahomes this week. Strictly for the reason. Oh no, I'm sorry. If Mahomes will change T. Higgins and put anyone else, I will pick Mahomes to beat Ben this week. I just don't have full confidence in George Pickens. I don't have full confidence in Lad McConkey. George Pickens did look a lot better with Russell Wilson under center. I just like to see the consistency of back-to-back weeks doing that. And then, but Mahomes, as far as with it, he has Brees Hall. And dude has, since the change of the play callers, he's gotten to be more efficient. He's getting 18 plus touches a game. Reception wise, he got over 100 yards receptions last week. He got over 100 yards rushing the week before. And so he's just catching the ball a ton. I don't think he'll have any problem with this New England defense. And it could be that this game is a blowout so early that they're just running the ball and Brees Hall is just racking in the points as far as with it. The other thing for me is going to be Jalen McMillan. He's a rookie. It's actually if I'm correct, you were the one that was mentioning him earlier.
Yeah.
He's a rookie. Mike Evans and Godwin out. He will hopefully be the one that is going to get all the targets. He did get 8 targets last week with Mike Evans once he went out. This defense has been torn up by Baltimore. Last time they played Atlanta, it was a shootout. That's the week that Kirk Cousins won in overtime with 500 plus passing yards. So they will have to throw the ball this week for sure. And hopefully McMillan is the one. I think that's going to be the deciding factor in this week's competition. I don't think he gets 10. I do possibly think that he could be a 15 to 20 point scorer this week.
Wow. Okay. So you've got Ben, unless he makes a change.
I got Mahomes if he changes T. Higgins, because T. Higgins is not going to play this week.
Mahomes. If T. Higgins, just as a matter of housekeeping, are you taking yourself or Daniel?
I'm taking myself.
I am taking Daniel.
Oh,
Yeah, man. So that's
I didn't burn you last week, man. I won. You can trust in me.
That's right. No, but Daniel's got Dicker the kicker, who scares the crap out of me now.
Yeah. I can understand it.
So just talking about more Jets players, let's talk about Caleb's team. Garrett Wilson is winning the Devontae Adams trade.
Absolutely.
He is going to be doing just fine this week. So start him. Tyreek is back. Start Tyreek, because it's not working with Huntley. But he better he better wrap him in bubble wrap.
Should have worn the Guardian cap.
He's not doing it. Personal choice. He's not wearing
personal choice. I like to be concussed.
And also, Tyreek needs to have a chauffeur take him to the stadium so he can make it in. But yeah, I think Arizona can win this game. But Tyreek, with his big play potential, Tua back, you got to play Tyreek. When's the last time we said play Tyreek? I mean,
I've actually said the opposite pretty much the last 4 weeks.
I think you got to play him today. And then my thing for Caleb is this. So he's chosen to play Warren instead of Zach Moss. And I just don't see it. Based on matchups, Warren needs to find the end zone to make him worth starting, but he has yet to top 8 points.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was week 2 against Denver. Like, I don't like that. I'd rather have him play Zach Moss.
Yeah, I don't know why they're projecting him so high. Maybe because this Giants team's not great. It doesn't make sense to me. But maybe he did get 14 touches last week, so they did show him a little bit more in the offense. But yeah, I probably would play Zach Moss instead. But yeah, tough choice for your running back there.
Yeah, that's for you, Caleb. If you're out there, switch it up, man. Don't play Warren. He doesn't get over 10 points, man.
Yeah, so I think Josh is also going to be a guy who's going to win this week. And reason being is I think Hunter Henry has found himself a play or a position in this New England offense. It is clear that Drake May is throwing to him, and that's who he wants to be, or that's where he wants to be, or that's his safety blanket right there. With Hunter Henry. So Hunter Henry has shown us back-to-back weeks that he could be a good, a 13 points and a 17 points, 9 targets last week, 8 catches, 92 yards. He definitely has what it takes to get there. Then DeAndre Swift is another player that I can't stop raving about as much. Jahmyr Gibbs is also, like, his running backs are super solid, but DeAndre Swift has just been putting in 20 points per game the last 3 weeks, over 20 touches in the last 3 games before the bye. They're coming off a bye. They're playing a Washington defense that isn't amazing. I think the Stars line up. I think DeAndre Swift can have a huge week this week.
So you've got Josh. I've got Josh. Mm-hmm. That's going to make Caleb happy to hear that.
Sorry, Caleb. I couldn't take you this week. I did take you last week, and you didn't lose. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I really appreciate you, everything you do there, Caleb. So But I did want to talk about this next matchup with Lex.
Oh,
Um,
wait a minute. We still have to
wait.
talk about Taylor and Skip.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Tay. Sorry. Uh, have Tay here. I think the most interesting thing for me for Tay on this week, I think man, this is a rough one. This could be a play of the week for our matchup of the week for a whole different reason. But it is a close match, 110 to 111.
Yeah.
Tay is decided instead of Chris Olave, he is going to play Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman had one good game. He's had a 17, an 11, a 15, but he's also had a 3, a 5, and a 4. I get it that Chris Olave hasn't been great, but if I'm putting my trust in somebody, I think I'm putting my trust in Chris Olave or even Tank Dell. I get it. Tank Dell had a total dud last week, but Nico Collins is still out. I still think they will look for him, and they'll even make a point to look for Tank Dell this week. So I think Tank Dell is probably the move to play, but Rashad Bateman could very well lose you this week. The other thing for me on this team is Travis Kelce. What is happening? He has 2 good weeks, then he goes back to 4 catches for 17 yards. I don't know what's going on. Who is Travis Kelce? How long is he like? I just don't know what Travis Kelce you're going to get week in, week out. Travis Kelce is really scary for me, but I did want to make an honorable mention of deciding to play David Montgomery against Tennessee's hard-nosed defense instead of playing Jordan Mason against a really soft Cowboys defense. I think that pick could lose you the week as well because I think Jordan Mason could absolutely eat and take and get a few touchdowns this week.
Yeah, Jordan Mason's basically all they have. I'm going to break down Skip's team here. Josh Allen, he got his Christmas present early this year. Feels more like Halloween for Seattle as the Bills come to town checking off their naughty list. Yeah, Josh Allen is ready to go. But Skip is doing something interesting, and I'd be interested to kind of hear what he's got to say about it. But he's starting Marvin Harrison Jr. over Xavier Worthy. So I was thinking about it. So both guys have big play potential, and is this the D-Hop to Kansas City effect? Does he really believe in Marvin Harrison Jr. or the third? Did he get tarot cards and get help from the other side? Worthy's up against the Raiders, and again, I wanted to play Pat Mahomes, so I think that's a favorable matchup. I don't know. I just don't know why he has chosen to go with Marvin Harrison the third, unless he does think that D-Hop impacts him.
I personally think Xavier Worthy, they tried to make him pristine, 8 targets last week, 6 targets the week before, and dude has come out with 25 and 19 yards. I don't know. I kind of agree with Skip on this one.
Okay.
I think Xavier Worthy has had plenty of opportunities. Although you should probably change your name from Is It Worth It if you're not going to play Xavier.
That's true. But the easy choice for him is to play Kareem Hunt. But he's also the other one I want to talk about was Skip. Interesting decision is to play Chase Brown. Chase Brown has had 3 booms and 3 busts, and the Eagles, I mean, they're going to make it really hard on him. But the only other option he has is to play Charbonnet, and that's not great. But Chase Brown's going to have to have a good day for Skip to win. That's just what it is. That being said, I am picking Skip to win this. Who are you picking?
I'm taking Tay to win this.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, that leads us to
now coming your way, the matchup of the week.
We got the matchup of the week, baby.
Let's go. Dub Bears versus my wife Lex. 4-3 in the Ice division versus 5-2 in the Fire division. It's a heated match this week. 124.3 projected points against my wife's 127.3 projected points. At one point this week, it was exactly 127.3 for 127.3. But this is going to be exciting. I think the reason it went down is because there was a quarterback change. I'll let you talk about a little bit more. I'm taking Lex this week, and I'm taking her for the win. Reason being is because David Njoku has become off now that Deshaun Watson is no longer at quarterback there. It's the Joe Flacco effect, guys. Everyone instantly goes up. Now, mind you, there's not a lot of receiving power there, which is why Njoku is such a great tight end pickup. 10 catches on 14 targets last week. It's just he is the real deal. He's the guy there that Cooper is gone. I think he could have potentially a big game. I think he's a touchdown waiting to happen to get her to 19 points rather than the 13. The other reason for her team is the Broncos defense. After having drafted the Cowboys defense at like the third defense and being screwed over, I think 2 of those 3 losses are because the Cowboys defense got negative points at the beginning of the week or after the week was done. She went out on free agency, picked up the Broncos, and they have only become the #1 scoring defense in fantasy football right now. Last week, giving her 21 points. It is hard to lose when your defense can give you 15 plus points every single week. I think because of those 2 reasons, and on top of Malik Neighbors being back in this game or being back, I think he's going to have a comeback. They're going to make a point to get him the ball next week. I think she takes the victory this week against the Bears.
Wow.
What's your opinion on the Bears, though?
Well, the Bears, man, some decisions there. Caleb Williams, he's had 2 good performances in a row, but they've been against Jacksonville and Carolina. So does that get him going the rest of the year? Does that change the color of his nails? I don't know. But they just had a bye week, and they're going to play up against a bleeding Washington defense. Maybe Kmet and company can, have a great day. I still like Caleb Williams more than Kyler against the Dolphins. Do you know why?
No. Why?
It's Call of Duty week.
Oh, yeah.
Kyler's going to be busy, bro. He doesn't have time for football. He's studying. He's got to get on Call of Duty. So, yeah, I do think Caleb Williams is the right play. Just a momentum train and all that. ETN, okay, what the heck? Okay, let me check. I'm going to check before I say this. Is ETN still in the lineup?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes, he is.
You've got to get ETN off of your lineup. I hate that. Get Mostert in there. You got Mostert on your bench. So we'll see if on Sunday morning if that Tua gets Mostert back in there. A.J. Brown versus Cincinnati. Love that. I'm picking Lex. If it's going to go 50-50 like this, and I don't have anything that really compels me, just the fact that you're named the Bears is going to tip me to the other side. Are we both taking Lex on this?
We're both taking Lex on this.
Nice. All right. Well, that brings us to a brand new segment. It is called the Lightning Round.
Woo!
Okay, so I like this round. So what I did is I went through our socials this week, and I kind of just picked out some start, sit, who should I play this week, and I'm just going to rapid fire them at Jordan and see what he says. So this first one, this was actually in someone else's socials, but I thought it was interesting. Kyler or Geno this week?
Kyler or Geno this week? Well, Geno Smith has been one of the best, most pass attempts that could possibly go. But I think with DK Metcalf out, I think that has been his main target. So even though it has been a struggling time, Geno's barely broken over 15 points. And Kyler Murray has the chance to call you out 30 yards from the end zone and still beat you to the end zone. 40-yard run for a touchdown. So for me, I think the bigger play is going to be for Kyler Murray, and he has way more rushing upside than Geno. So I would start Kyler Murray this week.
Excellent. All right. DeAndre Swift or James Cook?
I would take DeAndre Swift. We just talked about it. James Cook is doing well. I do like James Cook, but I just think that DeAndre Swift has been such a heater, getting plus 20 touches, that it would be ridiculous not to start a guy who's averaging 20 to 25 points a week, where James Cook hasn't quite hit those averages in the last few weeks. DeAndre Swift is who I'm taking.
All right. So the next 4 come from our TikTok page. So these are questions that were asked. All right. Amon-Ra St. Brown or CeeDee Lamb?
Wow. That's a tough one. If you're making that decision, I would say play them both. I don't know who else you have that you're playing over those two. But if it had to come down to it, for some reason you've somehow got Jamar Chase as well. I don't know what kind of trades you're making in that league, but yeah, so I guess I would take CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, as of last year, started off slow. After their bye, the last 10, 11 games, he only became the number 1 scoring wide receiver. He's coming off bye. Mike McCarthy's known to be playing or have a good game plan when they come off bye. San Francisco is going to be bleeding. They don't have a run game. You have to, or the Cowboys don't have a run game. They're doing nothing but throwing. I think Dak and CD are going to get back on the same page. This week, I would take CeeDee Lamb over Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Excellent. This one as well. ETN or Ramondre Stevenson?
Man, that's a rough one. I would probably take Ramondre Stevenson, and only for the reason that Tank Bigsby has been kind of going off the last few weeks. So I think he could eat into some of that Travis Etienne time. At some point, when you're this far low and you've lost this many games, you're going to get to a point where like Travis Etienne has like 10 carries for 20 yards. It's like, we're just going to put Tank Bigsby in. Why wouldn't we play the guy who's playing better right now? I don't have that much confidence in Ramondre Stevenson, but I have even less confidence in Antonio Gibson. So I personally think that Ramondre Stevenson is the better choice, even though he's going up against a hard-nosed Jets defense. Jets just proved last week you can put points on them. So I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson for this.
All right, we're down to our last 2. Juju or Worthy?
Juju Smith-Schuster or Worthy? Well, Juju, I believe, is not playing this week. So I would probably go with Xavier Worthy this week.
Good point. And this is a fun one. This happened before Thursday. So I answered this question. I'm just curious how you would have answered. The question was Puka or Jackson Smith and Jigba?
Puka Nacua. If Puka Nacua is playing, I would play Puka Nacua. I don't even care snap counts, whatever.
Wow.
Puka's a guy who gets targets. That dude is just sucks them in. I mean, Matt Stafford is just looking for him all the time. Even when Cooper Kupp is healthy, Puka has always been one of the guys that has been getting tons of targets. Nothing against the other guy. I just think Puka, nothing against Smith and Jigba. I think he's doing good. DK Metcalf has a real big opportunity this week, but come on, you got to give it to Puka, the Cougar.
Yeah, I definitely did not recommend Puka in that situation because I didn't think he was starting. Like, he went from doubtful to playing in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I didn't think he was playing either.
Yeah,
but as soon as I did, I saw Cam put him in at the last minute. I was like, that's my boy Cam. What a great pick. What a great play.
Yeah, and he outplayed Kupp on my team, which I didn't appreciate. So thanks, Puka.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So it looks like we have a question here. Need one wide receiver, running back, and flex. My options are Achane, Swift, Adams, and more. Definitely with Tua back, Achane is a great pickup because he will be throwing. The threat is downfield again. So I think I would play in this instance. I would probably play Achane, Swift, and DJ Moore.
So you're going Moore over Adams.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, I am. I just think Moore has had a good few weeks. It's the target that Caleb Williams is most comfortable with outside of Cole Kmet. They're both kind of there, but I think DJ Moore is a great pickup. I still haven't seen the connection with Adams and Rodgers come back yet. So I have more confidence in DJ Moore's performance and being a consistency than I do for Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. I mean, Achan should be a slam dunk this week. So you're gonna be
Yeah,
right there with us with rooting Achan on.
yeah, absolutely. All right, I guess we could stay on for the next few minutes to kind of answer any questions or anything that kind of rolls through here. But anything else you have for the Spotify side of things?
No, appreciate everyone listening in, and check out our TikTok videos. We have good conversations with people over there, and we're also available on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast, listen to Spotify, and we're also available on Amazon Podcast as well if you need to. So yeah, get the word out. JD Fantasy Football.
Let's go.
Man, I need a win so bad this week.
In the worst way, bro. I just saw it and it almost felt like a kick in my nuts. I was voting for your team. I just saw I was like, oh shit. Kate Otten got 100 yards. He's up by 0.5. Oh
Yeah.
shit. And then the Chargers rushed in. I'm like, this is not good. Abort. Like it doesn't matter if they score a touchdown, then he's gonna lose by probably even better that Dicker gets a field goal, so it doesn't show like they've lost by like 0.4 or something like that.
It was back and forth too. It was like I'd be up by point whatever, and then Dicker would kick, and then I'd be up, and then Dicker would kick, and then it came down to just that last stupid kick, and Dicker is just automatic, man.
Yeah, weirdly enough, Chris Godwin gave his ankle for me to win my week. So he got that last catch, and then James Conner got a catch for like 40 yards, and I ended up winning by like
Wow.
6 or 7. But it was down to those last two things. I was down by like 0.6. Start 2. Sutton, Pittman, Wandell Robinson, Jalen McMillan. Oof.
Oh man.
Rough. So out of that bunch, I would probably go with Jalen McMillan. I think he definitely is the one that kind of sticks out to me the most because I think he definitely has, as a rookie, he has a lot of potential. There is nobody else to throw to other than Cade Otton. So I think he did get 8 targets last week when Mike Evans went out. So I think he is a guy that he could be targeting, even though he only got 3 catches the full week, kind of going through there. So I would say McMillan as one of them. As far as Pittman, I mean, last week he did still give you 9.3 points on 5 targets, so that's great. Yeah, he's still only averaging around 3 to 4 catches a game, which is not what you'd like to see. And I just said Anthony Richardson is a hard one, so gosh, that's hard. I'd almost say Pittman is your best option out of the 4 there, just because Sutton also got 0 points last week. And Wandell Robinson, he's good. He's good for like 5 catches for like 15 yards. So I would probably say Jalen McMillan and Pittman out of that selection of people.
Man, you need Denver to play well this week, man. You need Sutton to get in that end zone.
Yeah.
Wandell Robinson's actually done a little bit better than that, but I don't think that he has I think his ceiling is real low. I think he's been pretty consistent, but he's not gonna score 20 something points for you. He's been the 10 to 15 range mostly. I mean, he's still
last week he got 6 catches for 23 yards.
But I don't think he'll do that against Pittsburgh.
I know. Pittsburgh's defense is really good.
Yeah.
So I would still stay away from that as well.
So Pittman and McMillan?
I'd say Pittman and McMillan would be my choices.
You know what? I didn't need to show that on the stream. Yeah, Sutton, Pittman, Robinson, and McMillan.
Yeah,
appreciate that, Jason.
Yeah, man, I'm trying to get this. If I can get this win this week, pull this win out, and then next week no Debo, so I'm gonna have to play like Josh Downs or Cortland Sutton. I picked up Cedric Tillman this week, who I feel could be promising. He only had 1 game with 12 targets, and the rest of the week he's gotten 1 or 2. But hopefully, with Amari Cooper out, he shows as the guy to be thrown to. So maybe that might be a blessing in disguise. I picked up Jalen Tolbert as well, just to have as.
I didn't hear your take on DeAndre Hopkins. So what do you think that's going to look like this week?
I think this week it will look good. I think he kind of fits in pretty good on that team. I think he has potential to be a top 20 receiver now that he's on the Chiefs because they're going to be looking for people to throw to, especially with Juju out and Rashid Rice. So it should be interesting. I thought about trading for him. My thing is like I thought about trading for like Joe Mixon. I thought about making some trades for other teams, but I only have really 2 receivers that I truly trust in Drake London and Deebo Samuels. And every time I was like, oh, I'm going to get rid of Deebo Samuels, I'm like, why would I get rid of Deebo Samuels? He's going to be like the only fucking guy to throw to. Freaking guy to throw to. Like, it makes no sense for me to try to trade Deebo Samuels right now. Like,
Yeah.
he is going to be the guy. Like, they have no choice. So.
Well, I need CeeDee Lamb to get it done this weekend, man.
Yeah, I think CeeDee's going to have a comeback this year. I think you're in for a good treat coming up. I think CeeDee's going to make a nice little comeback here. 19.7. Yeah. I mean, dude, he got 14 targets against Detroit. I mean, it only gave you 16 points, but still. I mean, you had nice little 22, 16, and 11 kind of. I mean, I thought Aaron Jones was going to bust off after the first little bit of the game. He's kind of slowed down after that. All right. Well, not seeing any more questions roll through here. No.
I'm just dropping Calvin Ridley as we're speaking.
Weirdly enough, I just got the update that you
I'm
dropped
getting
Calvin Ridley.
switching in the Ravens D. So,
Yeah, I've been streaming. I've been doing nothing but streaming defenses, and it's
Yeah.
actually kind of worked out for me for the most part. I've like gotten like 15, 20. It's been pretty good. Just got to find the what's up next. Just in. Deebo Samuels, illness and wrist, is expected to play Sunday. The real question is he expected to play 4 possessions before he goes into the locker room, or is he expected to play the whole fucking game? Sorry, my language. Excuse my language. But yeah, that was frustrating. Like I was literally projected for like 150 and to just destroy Tay. And within 10 minutes of the second section of games, like the afternoon games it's like Jaden McDaniels is hurt and Deebo Samuels is in the locker room. And it was like, I literally got 5 points out of these 2 star players.
oh
like,
my God.
Somehow still snuck a win out, but dang, that was hard to watch. I'd almost accepted that I'd lost.
Well, that looks like all the action we're getting today, man.
Okay, well, that sounds good.
I'll get this up to Spotify, and yeah, next time, JD Fantasy Football.
Peace. Awesome.
Yeah, both 100.